A very good afternoon and thank you for joining us on Beetv News Updates at 3. I am Ruth Obodu and now the news in detail. Support has gathered at the Federal Capital Territory Office of the Economy and Financial Crimes Commission as former Kaduna State Governor Nasir El-Rufai appeared before the agency. The Mega National Movement for Good Governance said the prosecution of the former governor is a constitutional matter that must not be politicized. The group emphasized that the case is about accountability and restoring public trust in public institutions. According to the movement, several former appointees of the Kaduna State government are already under investigation. It urged anti-graft agencies to continue their probes transparently and in accordance with the law. The group maintained that due process must be followed, stressing that the fight against corruption should remain impartial and focus on upholding the rule of law.
We, the Mega Movement, call on the relevant anti-graft agency, particularly the Economic and Financial Crime Commission and the Independent Corrupt Practice Commission, to do the needful by deliberately and transparently continue their investigation in accordance with the constitutional provision and the rule of law. The process must be thoroughly investigated.
The EFCC, as we know it to be, is going to do its job professionally, and we are going to attend to all the issues that you have raised in your letter. And I also want to enjoin you to continue to be peaceful in the exercise of your right, because that is what democracy is all about. But I can assure you that as far as the EFCC is concerned, the right thing will be done, our processes and procedures will be followed, and Nigerians will see that we have actually acquitted ourselves very well concerning this issue.
And now in Adamawa State, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has commended the Nigerian Army for the progress recorded in the fight against insurgency, terrorism, and banditry. The president made the remarks in Yola during the inauguration of projects executed by Governor Ahmadu Umaru Fintri. President Tinubu acknowledged the strong collaboration between the federal government and subnational governments, describing it as vital to national development. He called on state governors to remain committed to prioritizing the welfare of citizens. The president also emphasized the need for sustained efforts in economic growth, infrastructure development, healthcare delivery, education reform, and social protection across the country.
So the Nigerian Armed Forces, for their commitment to liberate Nigeria from banditry and insurgency. Together, we win. We are investing heavily in agriculture, human development capital. We must be able to feed ourselves, feed the country. While we continue to encourage our governors, many of you are here present. But I must say the solidarity that exists between the federal government and subnationals is extremely encouraging. Umaru Fintri, thank you very much for the inspiration and commitment to humanity.
The governor of Akwa Ibom State, Umo Basi Eno, has reassured residents that there is no cause for alarm over reports alleging the transfer of oil wells from the state. He stressed that no propaganda or sentiments can overturn two valid Supreme Court judgments, affirming the state ownership of the oil wells, including the disputed 76 oil wells. Fielding questions from Government House correspondents upon his arrival on Sunday at the Victor Acta International Airport in Uyo, the governor expressed strong confidence in the leadership of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, noting that the president places a high premium on the rule of law in administering the country. Governor Eno affirmed his faith in due process, emphasizing that the matter is based on established facts and judicial pronouncements, not emotions.
In President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's administration, I believe that the rule of law will be respected. I believe that we cannot throw away Supreme Court decisions twice, giving us that oil well. We have the boundaries of the maritime boundaries around all of these places, certified by the Boundary Commission, the Surveyor General's Office. The facts has nothing to do with sentiment. If we were to talk about sentiment, the same Supreme Court judgment that gave us those oil wells gave Cross River, the Itu, some of our villages in Itu. Till today, why has Cross River not allowed us to sit on the table to discuss how they will return our villages? These villages are Ibibio-speaking villages.
The Kano state government has inaugurated a committee to oversee the implementation of the Youth Economy Intervention and De-Radicalization Program. The program, initiated by the federal government through the Federal Ministry of Youth Development, is designed to empower young people in agriculture, ICT, and vocational trades. Secretary to the state government, Umaru Farouk, said the committee is expected to ensure that youths across the state fully benefit from the initiative. He added that members of the committee will submit quarterly progress reports to guarantee effective implementation and the achievement of the program's objectives.
It's a federal government initiative aimed at addressing the current economic hardship being experienced throughout the country. As a state, the most populous state, Kano State, in my view, should be at the forefront at embracing this project. We are the most populous. We have the most, the highest number of urban situated youth.
From the federal government to reduce the rate of unemployment in the country. And this is handled by the Ministry of Youth and Youth. And the program is a kind of a different program whereby it's not a program that is handled by the CBN as the usual program that we know. But the reason why in this time around that the commercial banks were used is because of the easy access.
Moving on, dozens of women in Abuja have graduated from Project Arise, an empowerment initiative of the CCIA Foundation aimed at equipping women and with practical skills and economic opportunities. The program is designed to provide participants with vocational training, entrepreneurial support, and personal development skills to help them achieve financial independence. The report.
Many of the beneficiaries described the initiative as a turning point, having previously faced hardship, unemployment, and economic vulnerability. Organizers said the project seeks to restore dignity, build confidence, and create sustainable livelihoods for women across communities. The foundation reaffirmed its commitment to expanding the program to reach more women in need, emphasizing the role of empowerment in strengthening families and promoting inclusive development.
I really appreciate Cecilia program because they give us life. In fact, they really touch our life. It's not been easy. We have gone through the training for the past weeks, but today is the grand finale of the graduation students. I'm thanking God because God has raised her to raise me, and because He has raised me,
I will raise the nation.
The graduation ceremony went beyond the presentation of certificates, symbolizing personal transformation for the participants. Organizers noted that each graduate represents not only an empowered individual, but also a family being uplifted and a future being rewritten through the skills and opportunities gained from the program.
Today is not just an event, it's the beginning. A beginning of businesses, of dignity restored, of confidence rebuilt, and of future rewritten. Women carry a lot. We carry life, we carry families, we carry pain silently.
Across Nigeria, women continue to play a central role in family survival, often shouldering the burden of care with limited economic opportunities. Initiatives like Project Arise aim to bridge this gap, ensuring that women are not left behind in economic and social development.
Here is a woman, very young woman, who God has placed little in her heart, and she's now doing what she's doing.
For these graduates, today serves as proof that with the right support, meaningful change is possible. Naomi Ewere reporting from Beetv News.
The South-South Development Commission has signed a Memorandum of Understanding with the Rural Electrification Agency to expand electricity access and drive socio-economic growth across the South-South region. The agreement formalized in Abuja is expected to deepen collaboration on rural electrification projects, particularly in undeserved and hard-to-reach communities. The report.
As part of efforts to bridge the energy gap in Nigeria's oil-rich south, the federal government has unveiled an ambitious rural electrification roadmap for 2026. The plan, spearheaded by the Rural Electrification Agency, prioritizes decentralized solar mini-grids and clean energy clusters over reliance on the traditional national grid. The partnership between the South-South Development Commission and the Rural Electrification Agency is expected to strengthen local economies by enabling businesses to operate more efficiently while creating new opportunities for youth through emerging industries and innovation.
So we are now moving the REA, SSDC, we are moving from access to productivity, from projects to measurable regional transformation. So this signing is indeed implementation in action.
They are behind us, we are in front. So I want to thank you. And because you are the MD, choose to deal with first. You could have been east, you could have been west, you could have been anywhere. But maybe because of pressure from us, you decided to put us in front. And I can assure you that the team led by her will do our best to ensure that this relationship that we're going to sign.
The Rural Electrification Agency explains that the agreement would provide a framework for both agencies to jointly implement projects aimed at expanding electricity access to underserved communities in the South-South region.
We had identified the need for signing a framework that will make the two of us co-fund projects together. And in each, everybody will keep telling me that, oh, we want to be the first to sign this MOU, want to be the first to sign the MOU. And I'm happy to say here and to put it on the record that South-South Development Commission is the first that reached that.
The initiative is expected to create a robust funding pipeline that will catalyze critical power projects and drive socio-economic development across the South-South region. Naomi Ewere, reporting from Beetv News.
A splash tribute to President Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva during the Rio de Janeiro Carnival has ignited political controversy and legal challenges, with opposition parties accusing the celebration of crossing the line into unlawful early election campaigning. The report.
The planned insurance represents a year-on-year increase of 450 billion naira, or 128.6%, meaning the federal government of Nigeria is seeking more than double the amount offered in the same period last year. Unlike February 2025, which included a 5-year bond, the 2026 offer focuses solely on 7- and 10-year tenor, signaling an effort to lengthen the average maturity of domestic debt and ease near-term refinancing pressure measure. Borrowing costs remain elevated, while the 7-year bond carries a slightly lower coupon of 17.95% compared to 18.50% on a similar tenor last year. The 10-year instruments are priced at 19% and 19.89%, reflecting prevailing high interest rates. Month-on-month, the February offer is 100 billion naira lower than January's 900 billion naira insurance, marking an 11.1 decline. Stakeholders at the 47th Kaduna International Trade Fair were given fresh insight into the long-term strategy of the Dangote Group as its representative Fatima Wali Abdurrahman outlined the company's Vision 2030 roadmap. Speaking during the company's special day at the fair, she highlighted plans to deepen Nigeria's industrial base and promote economic self-reliance through expanded local production and value addition. She explained that Vision 2030 aims to position the conglomerate as a leading global manufacturing powerhouse while supporting national economic growth through job creation, technology adoption, and stronger supply chains. Investment in cement, fertilizers, petrochemicals, energy, sugar, and salt are designed to reduce import dependence and strengthen domestic manufacturing capacity in line with ongoing economic reforms. Wali Abdurrahman also emphasized the importance of partnership with small and medium-sized enterprises, distributors, and local suppliers. She noted that sustainable industrial development depends on inclusive partnership across the value chain to drive long-term economic progress. Nigeria produced 2.71 trillion standard cubic feet of gas in 2025, exceeding the 2.5 trillion standard cubic feet recorded in 2024, according to data from the Nigerian Upstream Petroleum Regulatory Commission. Of the 2025 output, 942.7 billion standard cubic feet, about 34.8%, was exported, while 780.6 billion standard cubic feet was sold domestically and 776.6 billion standard cubic feet was used for field operation. Total gas utilized during the year stood at 2.5 trillion standard cubic feet, representing a utilization rate of 92.4%. Associated gas accounted for 1.456 trillion standard cubic feet of production, while non-associated gas contributed 1.25 trillion standard cubic feet, reflecting a relatively balanced output from both sources. Monthly production peaked in July at 250.9 billion standard cubic feet, with strong performance also recorded in May and June. Output fell to a low of 198.3 billion standard cubic feet in September before rebounding to 221.1 billion standard cubic feet in October and moderating to about 212.5 billion standard cubic feet in both November and December. The Commission noted that figures for the last 3 months are provisional and subject to reconciliation. Favor Kolawole reporting for Beetv News.
And now to the entertainment news. Nigeria gospel minister and pastor Nathan Yabasi has recounted an encounter with an alleged traditional spiritualist who he claimed had attempted to place him under a spell. The cleric said the incident occurred along an express road and marked the second time the individual had approached him. The reports.
The parade, part of the early Samba School Academico de Netario performance at the Samba Drome, focused on Lula's life story, showing his rise from poverty in Brazil's northeast to becoming one of the country's most influential leaders. The elaborate flutes, music, and choreography drew widespread attention and applause from many spectators. President Lula, who is seeking a fourth non-consecutive term in the October 2026 election, attended a festival alongside with Vice President Geraldo Alckmin and other allies. Lula was visibly moved by the tribute and took photos with parade participants, but he did not give speeches or make campaign remarks during the event, a move his aides say was meant to avoid allegation of campaigning before the official election period. Despite legal precautions by Lula's team, including guidance for ministers and supporters to refrain from political gesture or public campaign messaging, opposition politicians filed a flurry of lawsuits. Critics argue that the parade's content and symbolism, including reference to Lula and his workers' party ballot number, amounted to illegal early campaigning on the Brazilian election law. Most lawsuits were dismissed by court on procedural grounds or after judges accepted government defenses that public funds for Samba schools are distributed evenly and not tied to any specific political messaging.
According to Bassi, the man knocked on his car window and began what he described as an enchantment intended to influence him. He explained that he responded by declaring Bible verses, affirming divine protection, and expressed confidence that the alleged spell would not succeed. Bassi says the man lingered briefly before he eventually ordered him to leave the scene. Reflecting on the experience, the pastor stated that his testimony was not meant to glorify evil, but to underscore his belief in spiritual realities and the power of faith. In another development, Lagos-based cleric Kingsley Okonkwo has addressed criticism from fellow ministers over his tattoo, expressing displeasure at what he described as condemnation from junior pastors. Speaking during a recent sermon, the pastor said he felt insulted by ministers he believes lack the spiritual standing to question his personal choices. He maintained that none of the critics clearly identified tattoos as sinful, but instead debated whether it was appropriate for a pastor to publicly display one. Okonkwo emphasized that there is hierarchy in spiritual leadership and suggested that some of the backlash stemmed from religious rigidity rather than doctrinal clarity. Grammy-winning U.S. songwriter Billy Steinberg has died at the age of 75 following a cancer diagnosis in Los Angeles. His family described him as a visionary lyricist whose deeply personal reflections became global anthems. Over a 4-decade career, he earned numerous accolades, including a Grammy Award for his work on Falling Into You by Celine Dion. Steinberg was best known for co-writing Like a Virgin, the breakthrough hit for Madonna that topped the US Billboard Hot 100 in 1984.
And now moving on to sports. Nigeria's Sadiu Aliyu and Olajumoke Obasani won bronze in the mixed doubles at the 2026 All-African Senior Championships in Gaborone, Botswana, as the country finished the tournament with 2 bronze medals. The pair lost 21-12, 21-7 in the semi-finals to Algeria's Kosilia Mameri and Tania Mameri, who went on to claim the title. Nigeria shared the bronze with Egypt's Adam Atem and Doha Ani, who were beaten in the other semi-final. Nigeria's second medal came in the women's team event, where the team also secured bronze after a 3-0 semi-final defeat to Egypt. Another Nigeria mixed doubles pair, Samuel Aderola and Peace Jonah, exited in the quarterfinals, while Aliyu and Sofiat Obashishola reached the quarterfinals of the men's and women's singles events, respectively. The 2 bronze medals mark a dip from Nigeria's recent dominance at the championships. Last year in Cameroon, Anuoluwapo Opeyori won the men's singles title for the 5th time, having first claimed it in 2019 and then securing 4 consecutive titles from 2022 to 2025. In his ascent this year, Egypt's Adam Egama won the men's titles crown, while Uganda's Falida Rafi claimed the women's singles title. And that's the end of our news updates. Thank you for joining, and join us later at 6 for our major news. I am Ruth Obodu. Goodbye for now.